Ronnie and Janet for many, many years. I watched them grow up in church. I was a friend when they were dating. I sang at their wedding. I've delivered their mail. I've hung out at Conyers Pharmacy almost every day since they opened. And I've watched them grow as a beautiful family. Now in my later years as Santa, I've been able to enjoy having their grandchildren sit on my knee. And now tonight, I have the honor and privilege of being a part of Ronnie's retirement dinner. And I just want to say thank you to Janet for asking me for this participation tonight. You know, some of us are addicted to college football. And I've got to say, Anthony and I are addicted to Georgia Tech football. But Ronnie chose fishing as his addiction. And if you look around on the tables after a while when we are closing down, if you look, you'll see a lot of pictures that are proof about his addiction to fishing. I understand the first fish that Ronnie caught was a 2-inch brim. And he had it for dinner that night. He only had 2 bites, but he had it for dinner that night. He has progressed through the years from fishing from the bank to a john boat to a fishing ski boat, and then finally to using a guide. And Ronnie, I want to share a story that I was given. It seems a few years ago that you and a buddy drove hundreds of miles down to Steinhatchee, Florida to do some fishing. You bought all sort of bait and tackle, you hired a guide, you spent the night in the hotel, ate out all your meals. And then after a long day of fishing, you returned to the marina with 2 saltwater trout, just barely legal size. Your buddy commented to you, "Man, Brown, this fish cost us $175. To which you replied, "Well, it's a good thing we didn't catch any more." Oh, thank you. I just want to say again, thanks to Janet for asking me to be a part tonight. And I want to take this time now to introduce our MC for the evening, Mr. Darrell Huckabee. Darrell is a native of Porterdale, Georgia, which is just down the road. He's married to Lisa. They have 3 children, one of whom is Jamie Fairchild, and now a pharmacist at Conyers Pharmacy. So it just keeps going on and on. Darrell is also a retired teacher. He's an author, a syndicated columnist. He eats and sleeps Georgia football. He has a tour business. He's a gifted speaker, and he's a lay minister in the Methodist Church. Busy, busy man, and we're grateful to have him with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Darrell Huckabee.
Ronnie Brown, where is Ronnie? Oh, there he is. Okay. The man of the hour. I am so excited that this night is finally upon us, because I don't think your lovely bride, Janet, has probably slept in about 3 months. She called me a long time ago. Asked me if I were going to be available on January 4th. And I said, well, that depends on how the football season turns out. She said, well, we'll call somebody else then. I said, no, I think everything will be fine, because we just finished playing South Carolina at the time. She was weighing a little bit tight about this, if you really want to know the truth. I got 37 emails between the day that I booked and today, and then 7 people came up to me today when I got here to make sure she got my last 17 emails. So we're here, and Janet, I think we did it. Give Janet. Yeah. I love Ronnie Brown and his partner Anthony Norton, but they make me look really bad, because they treat my daughter, Jamie Lee, like a daughter. And it kind of spoils her. They treat her way. She's a pharmacist. You know, her mother and I spent a lot of money at the University of Georgia, hallowed be thy name, so they could teach her how to sell drugs for a living. We had dozens of kids at Heritage High School, where I taught for 20 years, could already do it without any training whatsoever. I'm never letting they pay Jamie way too much. I'm just going to tell you right now. And Lord help, I don't know what's going to happen when Ronnie retires because he's the tight one of the couple. So I don't know, but I remember the first paycheck Jamie got. She came by the house to show it to us. And I'd gotten paid that day after 37 years in the classroom at that time. And she said, Daddy, I got my check. And I looked at it. I said, Jamie, I'm so proud of you. You made almost as much this month as I did. And I've been teaching 37 years. And this is your very first paycheck. And she rolled her eyes and said, Daddy, mine's for 1 week. I knew then I was in the wrong business. Somebody asked me now that Jamie makes all those big bucks from Ronnie and Anthony, if she ever picks up the check when we go out to eat. I said, she certainly does, every single time. Just like always, and hands it right to me. So, but I am really, really proud that Jamie has two such wonderful, kind-hearted, generous Christian friends to work for. We've been very blessed in our lives that our two children, Jamie and Jackson, have found great places to work in their chosen profession. Now, third child, Jenna, wasn't as lucky. She works for herself, but you know how that means. But Ronnie, you know, everybody's talking about all this fishing stuff here. I don't know how much you can fish, but they tell me that the Lord made the earth 3/4 water and 1/4 land, which was a certain indication that he intended man to fish 3 times more than he worked. So we'll see how that works out. But please do drop by. You know, Ronnie told me he was down at Jackson Lake fishing last week because he just had to get away. And he said he ran into a 1-armed man that caught a fish that long. But I explain that one to the tech folks. Ronnie, you may not know what's going on here tonight, but you know, I read Uncle Remus. My daddy read Uncle Remus stories to me, and I read Uncle Remus stories to our kids, and now I'm getting to read Uncle Remus stories to our grandson, Henley Walker, who's here. And I was reading the Brer Rabbit Tar Baby story last week, and it came across a part where they'd caught Brer Rabbit on the Tar Baby, and they were figuring out a way to kill him, and Brer Bear said, well, I know what we can do. We can roast Brer Rabbit. We can build us a big old fire, as hot as we can do it, and we can put him on there and we can just roast him. Well, Ronnie, get ready, buddy, because you are about to be roasted. And I was thinking about how Janet was going to get Ronnie here, and I said, we'll know that he was expecting something, because, I mean, he's sitting around the house on a Sunday afternoon doing whatever people do on Sunday afternoons. If he comes in here in nice clothes, we'll know he's expecting something. Well, I think we got him, Janet, because he didn't. Well, the first roaster of the evening is Mike Adams. And Mike is a retired pharmacist and was a part-time fill-in at Conyers Pharmacy for about 1.5 years. And then now Ronnie's going to take that position over, I think. So, Mike, come on up and have your say.
I've been asked to say a few words about aging as I've approached retirement before Ronnie did, and I've gained a little insight into the process of aging. And the first thing you'll notice, Ronnie, is that AARP sends you a package for membership almost weekly. It gets to the point where you almost feel like you're getting older every day, you know. And then all of a sudden you'll go to the grocery store and the cashier will say to you, sir, do you need any help with the groceries out of the car? And she generally says this kind of in a loud, slow tone, do you need any help? And I told my wife, I said, before I went in the grocery store, I felt normal. Now I feel like an invalid and I'm retarded and I'm deaf. And even when you go out to a restaurant, go out to eat or go to a movie, they offer you a 10% discount, a senior citizen discount, without even you asking. And then I showed my kids a picture of me in the pharmacy, and they wanted to know, what is a typewriter, Granddaddy? And so, you know, things like that make you feel old. And then I noticed 40 years ago, in 1975, you had long hair. Now when I go to the barber, he spends more time cutting the hair out of my nose and ears and off my eyebrows than my head. And in 1975, we would always go to the latest new hip joint. Now in 2015, I'm receiving a new hip joint. And then when you get older, you tend to read the obituaries almost on a regular basis and make certain your name's not there. In fact, I told somebody the other day, I said, the thing about the obituaries, I notice people die alphabetically. So with my last name being Adams, I know it's, I can look right away. So Ronnie, you being Brown, your name will be right at the top. Webster's New Dictionary says age is the time that a person or a thing has existed since birth or beginning. Number 2, probable lifetime. 3, a stage of life. Ronnie's in his retirement years. The condition of being old age, wearied with age. The definition of aging, to grow old, show signs of growing old, to ripen or become mature, no longer young. And then I read in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 3, kind of a depressing view of age when it says, for there will come a time when your limbs will tremble with age. And then you will, and your teeth will become too few that they can't do their work. And then blindness will come. And I thought, my goodness, that's kind of a depressing type thing. And then the poet Robert Frost, little 2-line limerick, sums up the span of life when he says, the old dog barks backwards without getting up. I can remember when he was a pup. Now this is a poem about the age and the passage of time. We've all seen a dog do this. Now the puppy's old. He's an old dog now. He's matured. He's more confident. He's barking backwards. Things just aren't that important to him anymore. And I can imagine Ronnie, when he was a young man, he'd hear a sound at night. He'd probably run and get his gun and go check it out and see what it is. And now, when there's a sound at night, Janet says, Ronnie, don't you think you ought to go check it? Yeah, we'll check that in the morning. So, aging can be a humbling thing. Last year, I went to my 50th high school reunion, and I brought in a picture and was showing everybody at work. And it's a picture of me when I graduated. And Nathan looked at the picture and said, God, what happened to that guy? and then Caleb looked at the picture and said, 1964? That was the year my mother was born. Wow, talk about making you feel old. But when do we begin to age or get old? Well, that starts the moment we're born, and I thought this is where we begin today by looking at Ronnie Brown's life. And you know there are things, situations, events, life experiences that speed up the aging process. And Ronnie's had his share of those moments, and I thought we'd look at some of those times. Ronnie was one of 8 children, all boys, and he was the second oldest boy, born December 13th, 1948. When little Ronnie was born, he was so ugly that the doctor slapped his mother. and Ronnie's mother had morning sickness after he was born. When Ronnie was born, the doctor came into the waiting room and said to his father, we tried everything we did, but somehow he pulled through. Ronnie's father carried around a picture of the kid that came with his new wallet. As a little boy, when Ronnie would play in the sandbox, the cat kept covering him up. When Ronnie was a kid, his parents moved a lot, but he always was able to find them. As a child, when Ronnie would play hide and seek, the other kids wouldn't look for him. On Halloween, Ronnie's parents would dress all the boys up and they would send Ronnie out as is. He'd knock on the door, trick or treat. Who are you, little boy? I'm Ronnie Brown. Honey, come look at Ronnie's costume. As Ronnie got older, the doctor asked him to be a poster boy for birth control. When Ronnie was an adolescent, he and his older brother had developed some bad habits, and one of them was cussing. And Ronnie's parents were concerned about this, and they really didn't know what to do. And We've all heard about the program, Total Transformation by Dr. James Lehman, the psychologist. It's a program that transforms a child's behavior in minutes. Well, that program wasn't around when Ronnie was born, and so his dad asked some of his buddies, he said, what should we do about this the next time they cuss? He said, the next time they do it, you just smack them right in the mouth. So that next morning, Ronnie's brother said, pass me the damn cornflakes. His dad smacked him right in the mouth. He looked over at Ronnie and said, how about you? He said, well, you can bet your sweet ass it ain't cornflakes. I just don't think Ronnie got the point. You know, with all this rejection, you can see how this contributed to Ronnie's aging process. And Ronnie was looking for any kind of memorable experience or relationship. So one time his father took him hunting and he gave him a 3-minute head start. And then on the way home he tied Ronnie to the fender and he put the deer in the car. Well, now on to another chapter in Ronnie's life, romance. Janet and Ronnie were happy for 20 years and then they met. Ronnie can go around this. 1 month after I retired, my wife brought me to Conyers Pharmacy because she knew they were looking for a part-time help. And so I took the job and I asked Natalie later, I said, why do you want me to go to work so soon after retirement? She said, I took you for better or for worse, but I didn't take you for lunch every day. Janet, you've got that to look forward to. You know, Janet is always trying to get rid of Ronnie. The other day she told him to put the garbage out. He said, I already did. She told him to go and keep a watch on it. You know, it's tough being married. Janet used to kiss their dog Jasmine on the lips, but she wouldn't even drink out of Ronnie's glass. When Ronnie would come home from work, little Jasmine would start barking at the front door. She didn't want to go out. She wanted Ronnie to leave. You know, when you get older and you begin to lose some of your senses, such as hearing and vision, memory, and your reaction time, just not what it used to be. And that's why Janet's real concerned about Ronnie's driving. She feels like he drives too fast, especially at his age. And the other day, they passed me on the expressway, and I know they were driving too fast because Janet's hair was blowing and all the windows were rolled up. and Janet, when Ronnie drives, she always sings her 2 favorite hymns, Nearer, My God, to Thee, and Jesus, I'm Coming Home. Also, as you age, interests change, and some things that used to be important just aren't that important anymore. And I'm sorry to say that romance suffers from that. In the song by Jeffrey Gaines, Hero in Me, there's a verse that says, they've been suppressing their every desire. They do nothing on a whim. She's lost her sparkle, and he's lost the fire. Their future looks very dim. So the other night, Ronnie was feeling a little amorous. He was feeling that fire, so he went to the medicine cabinet. And as he was staring at the medicine bottles, he read the side effects of one of the medicines, and it read, if you have an erection lasting more than 4 hours and experience a loss of hearing and vision and have allergic reactions such as rash or hives of swelling lips, tongue, or throat, and difficulty in breathing and swallowing, seek medical help. Ronnie said, boy, that's not what I want. Then he looked at the other bottle, and it was Dukalax, and it said, take 2 in the PM for a BM in the AM. Ronnie said, that's what I want. Well, Ronnie, I bought you a birthday card back in July when I saw this, and I thought this sums up your age and your retirement. In card years, you would be considered a classic. In wine years, you would be considered smooth. And in dog years, well, you'd be dead.
Ronnie, with friends like that, you don't need any enemies. That's a good thing, because you don't have any. Next person up, you've already met, Alton McCullough. I married into a great family, and one of the things that I got with marrying into the Potts family was Alton McCullough as a friend. Now, Alton plays Santa Claus, as he alluded to. Other than being a Georgia Tech man, I can't find a thing I don't like about Alton. But he's going to sing a song for us now. Sing along, hoop, holler, but whatever you do, listen to the words, because they have a lot to say about what Ronnie is about to face. Come on up, Alton.
Well, Ronnie, this is about you, but it's meant for Rodney and Valerie. And I want y'all to know that Ronnie's been pondering. I know you know what pondering is. He's been pondering for a long time about retirement and the senior years. And he wrote down a few things, and I was able to come across these. It's some questions and other things that he wanted y'all to know. And I thought rather than reading them, and since I sang it at their wedding, I would do this as a song tonight and give you a taste of some of the questions that he has for you as he goes through the older ages. I'm 66, so listen up, kids. Many years from now, will you then be paid for my managed care? A private nursing room that I don't share. If I dementia, we're playing cards, would you keep the score? Will you still visit, give me a physic when I'm 94? Hours staring at walls, I wouldn't get in your way. Lock me in a rocker by the fireplace. Every morning clean my backside, fill my prescriptions, drive to the doc, hold open my door, pay my expenses, change my defenses when I'm 94. Every week we could see dinner at after getting all fixed up. There'll be brim and shame, great grandchildren on my knee. I won't know their names. Send me an email, text to myself, stating point of view. Indicate nicely if you return good deeds. You're sincerely a parent with needs. Help me with Medicare, fill out the forms. Yours forevermore. Well, good to see you. We'll catch up in a minute. Help me with Medicare, fill out the forms. I'll finish, Nathan, yours forevermore. Will you still lift me, tuck me in, shift me when I'm 94?
94 is closer than you think. Well, I'll tell you what, they told me Mike Adams was going to speak, and I almost didn't come because I don't like Mike Adams. But then there was a different Mike Adams. I thought as president of the University of Georgia was going to speak. So the one that came was fine. I like him fine. I'm happy that was him. But he had so much fun saying bad stuff about Ronnie that a lot of other people want to get in on the fun too. So I've had 7 people come up and want to say something while we were sitting there announcing and singing. So Carol Peak is going to come and say something now because she wanted to.
I'm probably the oldest employee here, and that's okay. You can just call me Fossil anytime you want to. I worked at Conya's Pharmacy back in the 1980s when Ronnie had black hair. It was my second job as I worked at Barksdale Elementary School during this time. Since Ronnie's first name was James, I told all my friends at Barksdale that I worked for James Brown and Friends. When Ronnie hired me, he assured me that if the pill count that I counted was over 10, that I could take my shoes off. And I only had to do that a couple of times. I remember working with Harmon Mitchell, the delivery man who reminds me of one of Jeff Dunham's male dogs, Walter. He was a pistol, and he sure loved Ronnie and Anthony as they did him. I remember quite often he would tell me, "You know those boys are drug dealers." I kept telling him, but they were legal drug dealers. He said it didn't matter. He went 2 times, first and last time, to Nagoya for a Christmas party. Of course, he sat right in the middle of the road, so when the cook flamed up the grill, I still can't repeat the words that Harmon Mitchell said. It's hard not to mention Anthony when I say Ronnie's name, because they were such a good team. They did so much for people that we will never know about. The biggest difference is their college preference to cheer for. I do remember Ronnie defending the University of Georgia once when there was a scandal about all you have to do to get a diploma is drive through Athens and stop at a red light. Ronnie said, "That's not completely true. You do have to roll down your car window." Here are some thoughts for you as you march to your much-earned retirement. Aura, Ronnie cheers for Georgia. O, only get up when you want to. N, never have to close again. N, now you can take fish bait when you go fishing. I, idle time will become your friend. E, easy does it will become your new partner. B, buy less now because there's less money. R, remember to pray for the evil one. ... Ronnie Brown. O, off with the old rules, on with the new. N, now you can relax and enjoy life as you have earned the privilege of retiring. I just had to tell this last story. I hope y'all don't find it offensive, but with my warped sense of humor, you know, Cindy's my daughter, I just had to put this in here. I don't want to offend anybody, but while we all show the pharmacist our boo-boos and rashes to get their opinions as to what we should try for that problem, I remember one lady in particular that came in to show Ronnie the back of her mouth. She had a problem in the very back. She pulled and she tugged until I thought her mouth was going to crack. Of course, Ronnie, being the nice pharmacist that he is, he sympathized greatly with her about her problem and gave her his advice. When she left, he turned around and said, "Boy, I'm glad she didn't have a yeast infection she was going to show me." Saying right here, the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart, and that is by Helen Keller. Love you.
Thanks, sister. I don't believe I told that. Speaking of which, you know, I was asking Jamie Lee some things about Ronnie that I might not know, and she said that the strangest thing that she knew about Ronnie was that it was his job to tell dirty jokes at the Rotary Club every week. And I've been to the Rotary Club with Ronnie, and I know she was telling me the truth. So. And I've heard him tell that story, as a matter of fact, at the Rotary Club. So there you go. You know, the next part of this roast is going to be a lot more fun up until the Saturday after Thanksgiving. But I was asking Jamie, you know, I love Anthony Norton, don't get me wrong. I honestly love Anthony Norton. But you know, you go in that daggum drugstore, and sometimes every Georgia Tech fan in Conyers comes in that drugstore. And sometimes both of them are there the same day. And I asked Jamie, I said, how in the world do you put up with all that Georgia Tech? Somebody asked me before Thanksgiving, well, your daughter work for Anthony Norton? I said, well, yeah, him and Ronnie. And she said, well, how does she stand it to come in and work after Tech's beating Georgia in football? I said, I don't know, she only worked there 6 years. But now we know. And I asked Jamie, I said, how does that work? Being there with Ronnie, being a Georgia fan, and Anthony being a Tech fan. She said, that's okay. We got Rick Ramsey on our side, so if things get out of hand, Rick will take over. So, the great State Farm agent, my friend and true blue Georgia Bulldog, Rick Ramsey, is the next person to approach the dais. Now, some of y'all might have seen the movie Patton, about General George Patton, and they said of General Patton, lions in their dens tremble at his approach. Ronnie, if I were you, I'd be trembling right now.
First thing I thought when I saw they were having a roast at the First Baptist Church is, why? Ain't there two reasons you can have a roast at the First Baptist Church? One is there's nothing bad to say about the person, and the other is, if there was, nobody'd say it. I ain't no Baptist. Look at him, the man of the 60s. And I ain't talking about his age. I'm talking a man that's still living in the 1960s. Ronnie, people our age that still got hair, they don't wear it like that no more. It ain't popular to look like Ricky Nelson. And the last time I saw glasses like that, Mr. Peoples was wearing. I've always been concerned where you bought your clothes, Ronnie. Last week I was coming out of Cowan Hardware on Green Street. Y'all know where it is. I looked across the street, and there walking out of Winston Menzies' fine fashion shop and home accessory store was Ronnie Brown, dragging a mattress in one hand and a stack of clothes about this high in the other. They sell clothes over there by the pound. I figured you had 10. Something ain't never been right about going in Kanye's pharmacy, though. I mean, here you got this Georgia Tech fan, Anthony Norton, who looks like one of us. Real people. And you got Ronnie Brown, who looks like he belongs up there with them people. I decided to launch an investigation. I went to Athens, Georgia, and I did some studying and learning. Anthony, there's a problem. There is no record of Ronnie Brown ever graduating from the pharmacy school at the University of Georgia. There's no record he ever walked in the door. It sounds good to say he's got a double major in accounting and a PhD in finance, but Ron Anthony, for 30 years he's been cooking the books. I investigated a little more. I hired some folks, we went up to his mountain cabin. It looked like the Hearst Castle. We couldn't get through the guardhouse, so we turned around. But as we were leaving, a helicopter flew right over our heads, and I looked up and it said, RBA 14. Ronnie Brown Airlines. We got out binoculars, and sure enough, there was a runway about a half a mile away. We got in the woods and we got back there just in time to see the limousine pull up to the Learjet. And out stepped, in a full-length evening gown covered in diamonds, Janet Brown. Followed by a Ralph Lauren tuxedo with a Cuban cigar about this long, Ronnie Brown. As the jet took off, I called my brother, who's the air traffic controller, and I said, check this out, Ronnie Brown Airlines 42. He called me back, the flight planned to Switzerland. We called Switzerland, they were waiting on him. They had 10 cases of something they took straight to the bank. A small army of guards met him and took him in the bank, and nobody but Ronnie and Janet followed him. Soon they came out. They left there in a limousine and went to Monte Carlo and gambled all night. Ronnie played a $100,000 hand blackjack. Janet hit the roulette wheel. It was quite a sight. Anthony, I hate to inform you this, but Conj's Pharmacy is on the verge of bankruptcy. It's a sham. He's cooked the books. It's the framework of companies he's created. I would suggest you find a good attorney immediately. I thought I saw Wells Barstow here. I'd recommend you find someone else. Ronnie, we love you.
Well, now we're going to hear from three people who really know Ronnie well, because you really get to know somebody when you live with them. And we're going to hear from three of his college roommates. They lived in a trailer on the banks of the beautiful Oconee River in glorious Athens, Georgia. And I was trying to get to know these folks so I'd have something to say about them. Bruce Ballard is kind of secretive. He's retired from Bausch & Lomb Surgical as a medical salesman. I asked him what time it was, and he commenced to tell me how to build a watch. But I asked him where he was. Then I asked him where he went to high school. So if you want to know anything about Bruce from the time he was born until the present, just let me know. I got it all. Started out in Connecticut, and then went to California and a few other places. But I finally got to admit he graduated from Shanley High School, and that's all I wanted to know. But so he went to the University of Georgia with Ronnie, and then Roger Wells was a little more forthcoming. And Roger is a pharmacist and still working. Ronnie wanted to say that. I guess he's trying to put the needle in a little bit. Up in Marshall, North Carolina, and in Canton, North Carolina. And Bruce is retired. And Jerry Bearden was smart because he stayed away from me entirely, so I don't have anything to say about him. But Bruce, Roger, and Jerry, come on, guys, and give us the download. We want to know everything. Oh, man.
Come on up, Jerry. This is going to be interesting. Janet, Ronnie, thanks for letting us be part of this. I must admit, when I got the phone call from you, Janet, what are you grinning at? I got a phone call from Janet saying that she wanted to have this roast, and my first impression was, okay, we can do a roast, and I hung up the phone, and I got to thinking, you know, most of the people that I know that have ever been roasted are high-profile people, entertainers, athletes, politicians, comedians, you name it. And it didn't take me long to figure out Ronnie wasn't one of them. Ronnie didn't really fit into that league. So I thought, well, no problem. I'll call Roger and Jerry and we'll kind of brainstorm all the fun things we did in college, you know, the dorm raids and the skip classes and, you know, all the things that you do in college. Well, I got the two of these guys on the phone, and I got Jerry on the phone first and told Jerry what we're going to do. We're going to have a roast, and Jerry went, this is exactly what he said. He said, of Ronnie? and I said, yeah, we'll think of some fun stuff that we did, and Ronnie said it again. So, I knew we had our work cut out for it. And then this guy here, he's a little bit older than us. So when I said that to Roger, I said, Roger, we're going to have a roast for Ronnie. His response, true story, who? I said, Roger, now come on, work with me. I know you're older than all of us, but work with me. We can put this together. We got to come, again, who? So it took me a while to get them on board, but I think we're on board now. But the bottom line is, we couldn't think of a whole lot of outlandish things to say, but I will say this. Ronnie and I lived in a trailer together. Roger was our third roommate. And funny story about the trailer. You know when you rent a trailer or an apartment and somebody meets you there for the first time, and they give you a key and they give you a tour of the place and they tell you what to do and not to do. Well, this guy said, have a great time. A bunch of college students, 3 of you, have a great time. But there's one thing that I would ask you, please don't do. Ronnie, do you remember what that was?
Don't get on the roof.
Don't get on the roof. Now, as God is my witness, before the guy left the parking lot, we were up on the roof waving to him. Right, yeah. And the guy said, now the reason I'm asking you not to do this is because people have done that before you, renters, and the place leaks really bad if it rains. He said, nah, that's not a problem. I remember a phone call from Ronnie saying things are floating around in the trailer after a rain. There were literally 4 or 5 inches of rain on the ground, and we had things floating around in the trailer. So that was kind of an exciting time. But our evenings together, Ronnie and I, we had a pretty varied diet of imitation hot dogs. That's what we ate most of the time in the apartment, in the trailer. We had hot dogs think of a hot dog that says imitation on it. Not a good thing. So we'd have our dinner, our hot dogs and stuff, and then before the meal was even through, I don't know if you know Ronnie well about this, but Ronnie excused himself to go to the bathroom. We hadn't even finished eating yet, and he's off in the bathroom. I don't know what he was doing back there, but he wasn't out helping me do the dishes. And then he would come out a little bit later, and my mission in life as Ronnie's roommate was to keep him from graduating to pharmacy school. Really, that's every night I would try to think of some reason. I was in the business school, not the brainiacs at campus, okay? I was in the business school. These guys, the pharmacists, and I don't know what he did, but I was not the brainiac time. But every night, Ronnie wanted to go to the library. Got to go to the library and study. And every night, I had to think of a different reason to keep him from going to the library to study. Because I didn't want to go study. I wasn't interested in that. So, a lot of times I could talk him out of it. And a lot of times we would go to the library, and I'd bring my books, and we'd sit down, and we'd start studying, and it didn't take long. 2 minutes, yeah, Ronnie said 2 minutes. I would talk him into leaving. So we'd leave and we'd go out, and we never got into any trouble, but we'd go out and we'd have something to eat. We'd go to the varsity, we'd go to any place just to get something to eat or to hang out, anything to keep from studying. But to this day, true story, Janet will vouch for this, to this day, it even happened tonight, while we were sitting around talking, every night, you know how when you go out with friends and sometimes you forget your wallet? Has that ever happened to anybody? Well, it happened to me once or twice when Ronnie and I were together. So every single time that we get together with him, and again, it even happened tonight, he told a group of people that I still owed him money because he always bought my meal. So Ronnie, here you go. Here's your stack of money.
Ronnie, so pay up. But I'm really happy to be here tonight and at Ronnie's secret retirement. And just looking around, Ronnie, I'd say there's a lot of people glad to see you retiring.
Well, I must say, it's hard to follow all these speakers because I think some of you are professionals for sure. And I'm going to be gentler and kinder, I guess, to Ronnie over the years. But first of all, I'll tell you about these two guys. When I first met Ronnie, it was in 1967. We were roommates at Payne Hall, which is a small dorm, and you got to know everybody on your floor pretty quick. When you'd hear this infectious laugh coming down the hallway, and this was Roger, and I heard one, I heard this bam, bam, and there'd be a laugh in between. He'd laugh real big and loud, bam. So I had to go out and see what was going on. And so I went out there, and there was Roger. We had a milk machine and an orange juice machine, and he was hitting it and kicking it, and every time he'd do it, it would come out free. so we got a big crowd of folks there. We got Ronnie and Bruce and I got there too. And Bruce, first time I remember meeting him, it was out in the courtyard, I guess, in Payne Hall, and I don't remember what the other hall was. Bruce was a gymnastics major person. Anyway, he first time I saw him, he was doing standing back flips. I'd never seen this. I came from a little country town up in North Georgia. This guy was turning back flips. I said, man, he was impressive. So that was pretty good. But again, you know, I'm real impressed with the ceremony here tonight, and I know Ronnie's really glad to have all your friends to come and give him a good send-off from his retirement. Ronnie and I were actually roommates, I think, way back in 1969 for about a year there in Payne Hall. And the thing I remember about Ronnie at Payne Hall was he was there during the week, but on weekends he was never there. He was in love. He was coming home every Friday night. He was coming to see Janet. And he told me he was going to see Janet. All this was happening back in the 60s. So I thought, I'll tell stories about Ronnie being a hippie and going out with another hippie named Janet, but that didn't really happen. Ronnie was so clean cut on Friday nights, especially. He was shaving twice a day before his date with Janet anyway, so he was real conscious of that. I never saw him with anything but the hair like he's got now. And Ronnie liked fast cars. I don't know what he has now, but he used to. He always loved to have fast cars. The one I remember he had in college was an old light blue Falcon, I believe. It sounded good, but it wasn't all that fast. But one day we were up on North Campus, and I heard this screeching going around and jumping over the speed bumps there. And lo and behold, it's Ronnie. We were walking there. Hey, way to go, Ronnie! He's got it souped up and going now. Well, come to find out, his gas pedal got stuck in his Anyway, it kind of killed the moment. We thought it was really great. I will say one time that fast car saved us. So it snowed one time, and we were all there looking for stuff to do, kind of get in trouble. So we all made up a bunch of snowballs, and Ronnie was going to drive us around campus, and we would barrage somebody when the time was right. So we pulled up to one car, and the guy he had his window down. So we just unloaded on this guy. This guy didn't like it too good. So anyway, his window come down, and he was after us. But Ronnie was good behind the wheel, and he was able to drive us and get us out there without us getting killed. So I do appreciate the Falcon for that. In 1970, I married my wife. She's here now with my grandbabies. We got a much better roommate, so that's worked out for a long time. We're still married and doing well. But after we married, we did a lot of things with Ronnie and Janet. They would come up to see us, and we'd come to see them. One thing I remember in particular, most of you guys are our age, and y'all remember the movie Deliverance. And I wanted to ask Janet, did Ronnie ever learn how to swim? Still can't swim. He could swim pretty good, but he couldn't get his head out of the water. That's what I remember. We decided to go down the Kuswati River up at LJ before they flooded it and made Carter's Lake. And so we got rafts and went down there. It was a real wild, fast ride, and I was impressed because Ronnie couldn't swim, but yet he was going to go. This is a real fast river. We made it out of there, but again, we were going over waterfalls, and I bounced my camera out of the thing, and he made it. So it took a lot of guts to go down the Coosawhatchee River and not be able to swim. Janet reminded me one night of a good time we had on Berry College. We played tennis one night, and believe it or not, Ronnie and I used to be tennis players. And we played so late one night, we didn't have any kids back then, and we got locked in on the campus of Berry College. And so we had to walk a long way to get to the guardhouse to get us out of there. So that's just some of the stuff you did, back when you're young like that, and get into mischief, I guess. As we grew older and started having our kids and so forth, we didn't see Ronnie and Janet quite as much, but, again, I want to say it was good to have you as a roommate and friend over these years. We appreciate your friendship, and I know you enjoy retirement. We wish you the best of luck.
Ronnie and Janet, we love you.
That's great. You really made me feel good, because I was feeling old until you told me that y'all lived in Payne Hall. Because when I arrived at the University of Georgia, Payne Hall had already been condemned, so that's good. And Bruce, the one thing you left out, I didn't know you were a gymnast at Georgia. We got to talk about Lee Cunningham before you leave here.
Lee Cunningham,
yeah,
that's a blast from the past.
Well, Ronnie likes to fish. He intends to fish. There's fish stuff all over the place. And there are even songs about fishing. Galen Towns, where are you? Come on up. Galen is Ronnie's favorite son-in-law. Although we get trouble for saying that. He's got a little ditty he's going to share. And be sure to listen to the words, because I think it describes Ronnie to a T.
Just as a point of clarification, how many son-in-laws do you have, Ronnie?
One.
I love you and Janet too, but this will not be the kindler and gentler portion of this evening. Janet first asked me to sing a few months back when she was first planning this, and that's the mother-in-law telling me I was voluntold. And I kind of figured we had to get to the bottom of the talent pool to find a bald guy that went to 5 years of music major school and flunked out as a tuba player to sing a country song. Nevertheless, I am here tonight to offer a musical interpretation of a conversation that has most likely happened at least several dozen times within the Brown household over the years. Well, I love her, but I love to fish. Spend all day out on this lake, and hell is all I catch. Today she met me at the door, said I would have to choose. If I hit that fishing pole today, she'd be packing all her things, and she'd be gone by noon. Well, I'm gonna miss her when I get a chance that if I hurry, I could beg her to stay. That water's right and the weather is perfect. No telling what I might catch today. So I'm gonna miss her when I get home. But right now I'm on this lake shore, and I'm sitting in the sun. I'm sure it'll hit me when I walk through that door tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna miss her. Looky there, another bite. Yeah, I'm gonna miss her. Looky there, I've got a bite.
Well, that was extra good. Do you hire out, Galen? Keep that in mind. You know, everybody's thinking about Ronnie leaving. It's going to take, according to Jamie, it's going to take 2 people to replace him, she and Adam. Stand up, Adam. Let me see how good looking you are. Newest pharmacist at Conyers Pharmacy, and we were talking the other day, and Anthony was, you know, I think Anthony's dream is that Jamie and Adam are going to one day take over the store together, pay him several $1 million for the opportunity to do that. But he said, you know, Adam's just like Ronnie. Just like Ronnie. He said, yesterday they came to work dressed exactly alike. And he got out his phone and he showed me, and they were. I don't mean they were similar, I mean they were exactly alike. Same shirt, same shoes, same pants. And we decided that Jamie is a lot like Anthony and Adam's a lot like Ronnie. So 30 years from now, you know, I'm sure this will still be going on, and Jamie will be standing on the sideline of the Georgia games. She will standing right behind Mike Bobo Jr., Georgia's head coach, waiting. And Adam will be back home working on Saturday like it's been for the last 35 years. But you talk about taking 2 people to take Ronnie's place. At one time at Conyers Pharmacy, it took 3 female employees to handle 1 shift, which is just the opposite. It took 3 of them to handle 1 shift because they spent so much time socializing that they could only get 1/3 of a job done, according to people who tell me about these things. So Vivian Kim, Monica Witherington Broderick, and Stacy Bolton Williams were those 3 ladies that were a part of the glory years of Conyers Pharmacy. Shay and Monica couldn't be with us tonight, but Stacy's got a few